This podcast is sponsored by nobody.
Hey dudes, this is Beatrice Bupley, Amanda Kruger in Nightmare on Elm Street 5, and you're listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac on Splat from the Past. Bless you, my naughty son.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back the so awesome and so sweet Elm Street Jump Rope Girls, Coy and Adri Cecere, and we are going to nerd out on the entertainment of our youth, talking about film, television, and music from childhood. It's funny, about 6 months ago, I thought to myself, it would be pretty fun to have the Elm Street Jump Rope Girls back on and to nerd out because I just loved their energy. I loved how fun they were last time we talked back in 2023. So I reached out and it's taken some time, but we are finally going to do it today, and I am so excited. It's going to be fun. Also, rest in peace, Ted Kotcheff. Oh my God, that guy made movies that defined my childhood. The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz, North Dallas 40, First Blood, Joshua Now and Then, Switching Channels, Weekend at Bernie's. Oh, one of the best. I grew up on all of those movies, and I've talked to people from those movies. They're all great. What a sad loss to cinema. Guy who's a Canadian, too. So yeah, here is my new interview with Coy and Adri Cecere, the Elm Street Jump Rope Girls. Hey, Coy and Adri,
Hello.
welcome back. How are you today?
We're good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I am just so excited. This is going to be my first double nerd out ever.
Hi, Tommy.
Hey, yeah, so going back in time, do you two remember the first movies that impacted you as children?
Can you think of ones? Are we talking like the first real person movie, kind of like no cartoons, like real person?
Yeah, it could be anything.
I would say for me, one that I remember distinctly when I was little was Poltergeist.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's interesting. I did. I think for me, it would have been Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh, I love that movie. I've talked to several people from it.
Or are we? Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah. For me, Back to the Future was a big one for me. I always had that fantasy of going back in time and finding out why I'm so fucked up and why my parents are so fucked up. you know?
Right. I guess that is a good way to look at that when we can always go back in time.
Yeah. 'Cause my parents used to let me look at their yearbooks and stuff. So, it stems from that originally. What movie genres did you two gravitate toward the most?
Oh goodness. I think for me it was things like The Breakfast Club,
Oh,
Lost Boys, stuff like that, The Goonies,
oh
things
yeah.
like that were the kind of stuff that, I watched a lot of. I don't know, what was it for you? For me, I'd say a lot of it was that because most of the time I was with my sister, so I was watching what she was watching. So for me, I those are great memories for me. The Breakfast Club, Lost Boys. Thought that one was a little odd at first, but then it became like a favorite.
Yeah, The Breakfast Club is one of my favorite movies of all time. Oh my God, it's like a play when you watch it because it's just, talk, 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 and it's full of humor, it's full of emotion. I mean, it's John Hughes's magnum opus, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
It's one of those
absolutely.
it's one of those movies that hold up. Yeah, it's
I think so. It resonates with people today too, I would say.
Yeah. And oh my God, the Goonies. When I was really, really little, I looked like Chunk, and my parents used to call me Chunk. And I used to wear the red windbreaker that he wore and stuff, and Hawaiian shirts. It was pretty interesting, you know. And I'm not even Jewish too. That's what's funny about it.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, but those are popcorn movies like the Goonies and the Lost Boys and stuff like that. Yeah, the Lost Boys was shot near my hometown. It was shot up in Santa Cruz, and I'm from San Mateo, and so like I have so much pride in being from San Mateo in the Bay Area because of the movies like The Lost Boys that are shot up there, and because of movies like Harold and Maude, and God, so many other movies that were shot up there. You know, The Birds, The Fog.
Right. There were some pretty good ones shot up there too. So yeah, that's pretty cool to be from around that area.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of good ones that were shot up there. And the funny thing is, that was back in the day. Movie stars would hang out in San Francisco because they never got recognized much. Now it's kind of hard because the population has grown.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My brother was born in 73. I was born in 83, so a lot of stuff I like is because of him. He recorded everything off HBO. He taped all the raunchy sex comedy movies like Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds and Private School and Zapped, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
John Hughes stuff. He had a weird obsession with medieval sword and sorcery epics like Kroll, The Neverending Story, Labyrinth, Highlander. You know,
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Those
remember?
were some of the ones that
Those were good.
we were big fans of the Labyrinth and Never Ending Story too. I think wasn't it you said I traumatized you with the
Yeah.
Never Ending Story
Yeah.
and the horse?
Oh, that made my mom cry. I remember being 3 years old watching that, and she started crying. I remember.
Yep.
She's a very big animal person, and yeah, yeah. I mean, I always loved horror and comedy. Those were always my two genres. Like the first horror movie I ever saw, and I probably mentioned this last time, was The Shining, and I was just scared shitless when I saw it.
Right.
Right. Yes.
I think that one does that to a lot of us.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen King didn't like the original, and so that's why he remade it. But I mean, it doesn't live up to his vision, but it scares all of us. Is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sure Steven Spielberg has very specific vision.
King, not Spielberg.
Oh yeah, King. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I was thinking something else. See, there's another one that impacted us, I guess, was Indiana Jones and stuff like that. So for us, it was like adventure. I think mom and dad kind of shied away from the scary movies with us when we were younger, even though we
Mm-hmm.
we were in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, what are your favorites of the Indiana Jones?
That's a good one.
Temple of Doom.
That one was the one that stuck out for you.
Yeah.
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom was good.
Yes.
I'm a fan of the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, I love Temple of Doom because it's got so much black humor and it's so dark, and it was the first one I saw. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I like it, but it's too slow. I mean, yeah, it was pretty groundbreaking when it came out, but it's just like, sometimes I have to skip over some stuff because I just fall asleep.
I get it. I get it.
I think Temple of Doom for me was just because again it was so dark and I was just like, what is Indiana Jones doing, right? Like
Mhm.
what is this? So yeah, a lasting impression, that's for sure.
I saw Last Crusade when it first came out, and I saw the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls. I haven't seen the new one yet.
We haven't either, so we've not seen the newest one either.
I think I have seen them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I actually really, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good kind of, I guess you could say, kind of homage to Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford. So
Mm-hmm.
I I thought it was pretty good. Now, of course, is it like what it was when I was growing up with it? No, it's not. But I think it was a neat kind of way they did that, kind of like, I guess, kind of like Harrison Ford signing off kind of thing. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, they got James Mangold directing it. I mean, he's a pretty good director.
Mm-hmm.
He,
Yes.
he just did that Bob Dylan movie that came out recently. I'm sure you two remember when the Star Wars phenomenon first happened.
Yes, I guess that would be another one. I mean, I don't know how we couldn't have mentioned that one. That was probably one that really impacted us.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't see, I don't think we saw one in a theater until I think Return of the Jedi.
I
But then, watch.
Yeah, I remember like Return of the Jedi came out like 2 weeks before I was born, and it was the first one I saw on HBO when it first premiered a few years later. And like, I've seen all the footage on YouTube. All these kids were in lines around the block with their parents lined up to see what the fuss was all about of the first Star Wars movie because there was no internet then. It was crazy.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, I kind of wonder what it was like when the absolute first one came out, what all the kids' thoughts were, what the parents' thoughts were when they were going to this, because it was so groundbreaking for its time.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it became a cultural touchstone like right away, and like within a year, there was that stupid Christmas special they made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they started making the rounds on the Muppets. We remember seeing that as kids.
Yeah. Oh my God, the fact that Disney owns both of those franchises now, it's mind-boggling.
It blows your mind, right? Like
Yeah.
how much they've absorbed as a company. Yeah.
I'm a purist of the original Muppet movies, because they came from Jim Henson, and they were just much more real. I don't think Disney has ever known what to do with the Muppets, really.
Well, I think they've bought so much that sometimes I think it is just a big experiment. But I mean, I give them credit for trying, But
Yeah.
we being out in LA, we grew up in the Disney family. We both worked for the Disneyland Resort down there, so
Hmm.
we're definitely Disney at heart. We do love them and love some of the stuff they've done and that. But it is kind of crazy to think how much they've expanded over all these years.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you two like for comedy, like in terms of movies?
Oh my gosh, one that I totally remember is Noises Off. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one,
Yeah,
but
Peter
Noises
Bogdanovich.
Off.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that one killed me as like growing up watching it with my sister. That one was hilarious to me.
yeah, it's a very funny movie, very funny play too.
Hmm.
I think one that stuck out to me a lot, and I don't even remember when it came out. It might not have been early 80s, might have been close to 90s, but was Weekend at Bernie's.
Yes. Oh my God, the director Ted Kotcheff just died, and he did some great movies. And Weekend at
Yeah.
Bernie's. Yeah, I remember seeing that movie when I was 7, and I thought it was funny, but it also mortified me. It also made me think, is this what happens when you're dead? You're going to be like in the
Right.
sand, buried.
Right. Sitting in a lawn chair with your arm being tied up, waving at people. Exactly.
I've become friends with Catherine Mary Stewart. She comes on here at least once a year, and yeah, she loves being associated with that movie. It's so sophomoric and so hilarious.
It is. It's a classic.
That is classic. Yeah.
It still makes me laugh to this day when I see it. Whenever
Me
it's on
too.
television or anything, I'm always like, oh, I need to watch it.
And the funny thing is, Andrew McCarthy was supposed to play Jonathan Silverman's role, but they switched roles because Andrew McCarthy wanted to play a smartass sidekick for once, and I think he did a fantastic job.
Absolutely, he did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's funny. We were just talking last night too about not that it's a comedy, but Pretty in Pink. But we were just talking about like
Yeah.
John Cryer and his role as Ducky in Pretty in Pink, and like when he does his dance scene in the record store and that, and how great he was at that role, and that we don't think anybody else could have played that justice the way he did. So I think it's the same way.
Yeah, I saw the 30th anniversary re-release of the movie in the theater back in 2016. Everybody on the screen was just laughing hysterically when they saw Andrew Dice Clay playing the bouncer.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And then I saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the 30th anniversary re-release in the theater, and people were laughing at seeing Charlie Sheen say, drugs?
That's true. There's so many points in movies like that that now we can just laugh at, knowing the history behind it all.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a big Mel Brooks fan, and Neil Simon and Woody Allen, Blake Edwards movies like the Pink Panther movies. You know, I had a very old time comedy sensibility like early on because my grandmother, she got me into a lot of that stuff. I was I was raised by an Italian grandmother who taught me all of that stuff. We when TNT was first launched, we used to watch like all the old black and whites and stuff that she saw in the theater when she was little. You know.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of like old movie history trivia too, then. I mean, you go way back.
Yeah, my mom worked for the cable company, and we had every channel. As time went on, we got more and more channels. You know, it went from like 10 channels to 600 eventually. It's crazy. You know, I was into Charlie Chaplin. I thought he was great, and the Marx Brothers, and Martin and Lewis, and people like that. The old comedy teams. Um, did you two have any movie crushes?
Oh, goodness.
Oh man.
I'm trying to think.
So I saw something come across social media the other day, and I can't remember his name. Justin. He passed away in 2003, and Justin. It was Justin, and then the last name starts with a B. And I just saw his picture the other day. I can't remember it now.
Justin.
But
Huh.
Was he a blonde?
yeah,
Did he do that like deep sea TV show or something?
possibly. I think Bree. Oh man, this is gonna drive me crazy.
I know who
If I
you're
had my
talking
phone-
about. You're talking about Jonathan Brandis.
Yes, yeah, that is exactly it. I had a poster of him up on my wall, and he came up. He came across the feed the other day, and that brought back. I was like, oh wow, wow, like that.
Yeah.
That right there was like, okay, I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, he was a very talented kid, from what I understand, but he was very troubled, which
Yes.
is insane. But yeah, when you said, wait, I was thinking Justin B, who died in 2003, and I thought, wait, Jonathan B. Brandis.
There you
Yes, Jonathan, that's what it was. Yeah, sorry. Yes, but yeah, he was all over my wall. But so was Leonardo DiCaprio. Gosh, some of the New Kids on the Block. All those groups were all over my posters in my room and that. But
I was a big fan of I'm trying to think, who was it? Joey Lawrence. I was a
Yeah.
huge Joey Lawrence fan when I was younger, so I had pictures of him on my wall. So, and ironically, when I had a crush on him when I was younger too, our dad did an episode of Gimme a Break on
Mhm.
TV with Nell Carter the week of my birthday. So I got to go and watch a live taping of it, and I got to meet him. So that was kind of fun. But that was one of my big crushes as a kid.
I had Joey Lawrence's album when I was a kid.
That's true. Yes, his music.
Yeah.
Yep, I knew it well.
Oh, nothing my love can't fix for you, baby. I remember that so well. Yeah, him and his brothers have a podcast called the Brotherly Love Podcast, and it's funny just seeing them all growing up now. And Joey, of course, he's getting older, and his hair is starting to fade away and everything. But like back in the day, yeah, everyone was going gaga for him.
Mhm. Yes, he had quite a head of hair back in the day.
Yeah, well, they all did actually. You know,
True.
yeah, yeah. Like I was like big ones for me were like Cary Grant, Natalie Wood, every '80s movie actress I've come to interview and meet and become friends with, like Kathy Stewart and Diane Franklin and Linnea Quigley and Barbara Crampton and so many of them. Valerie Landsberg on Fame was a big one for me. She's one I haven't had on yet that I'm trying to make happen. That would be like the ultimate dream for me. If I wasn't so lazy, I would have had a Valerie Landsberg fan club. That's how much I love her.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I think we also, well, were you a big fan of Johnny Depp too growing up? I guess that would have been like another crush of ours. That was way pre Captain Jack Sparrow kind of stuff that everybody loves now. But I think that was another big one for us as kids. So
Yeah, I mean, I liked him, in Edward Scissorhands, and like I watched 21 Jump Street, and yeah, I remember last time we talked, you had mentioned that you both had a crush on him because he'd worked on Nightmare on Elm Street.
yep. He was, we didn't really get to talk to him when we were on set. We just got to see him from afar when they were shooting the convertible scene. But we remember thinking he was really cute.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. He actually started out as a musician.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember the name of the band he was in. They did a soundtrack song without him, like around the time Nightmare on Elm Street came out. I'm trying to remember the name of the band and the name of the song and the movie, but it's I'm blanking on it right now. It was the guy's the lead singer's name was Bruce something, but yeah, a lot of people don't know that about him. Did you two go to the drive-in a lot growing up?
We did go to drive-in pretty often. I think I remember seeing E.T. there.
Yes, that one traumatized me.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was fun back then, like for me it was the concept of watching a movie sitting in the car. It was crazy and like in the back of the car, so it was fun.
I think I saw Jaws at the drive-in one time. So, and I thought to myself, I don't know, they were doing like a replay of it or something, and I thought, I don't know if I want to go in the water for a while now.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody felt that way when Jaws came out. Everybody, and that was the first real box office, summer blockbuster, and you can blame that for the capitalism in Hollywood today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Like my parents started taking me when I was 2. Weird Science was the first movie they took me to, and Rambo 2 back to back on a double bill.
Oh, that's cool. I love Weird Science. Weird Science is one of my favorite. I used to think I'm blanking on her name, but the female lead, I used to
Kelly
think she
Brown.
was like
Mhm.
she was stunning. She was just beautiful in that movie.
Yeah, gorgeous. It was one of the rare movies that John Hughes allowed any improv on because he liked it when his actors stuck to the script. But a lot of stuff that Bill Paxton and Anthony Michael Hall says in that movie is ad-libbed, but they actually sound like things that John Hughes could have come up with, you know,
Exactly. Yep.
which is so
I
brilliant.
think I think the casting of that one too, of those two together, was just awesome. I mean, those two just played so well off of each other.
Yeah, they sure did. And like I remember it so well in the theater and just being freaked out by a lot of things. And then we watched it a lot on HBO when I was a kid growing up. We had it on tape and stuff. It's just always been one of those movies that's always been there and stuff. So
Right.
getting into television, like what sitcoms did you two watch growing up?
Oh goodness. know we watched Family Ties growing up.
Charles in Charge.
Yeah, we watched that one a lot. Charles in Charge.
What was the one with all the girls?
The Facts of Life.
The Facts of Life, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we even watched Silver Spoons a lot when we were younger, growing up. So,
and obviously, like Three's Company was a big one for me. And John Ritter, I love John Ritter's humor. He was such a talented guy. Gosh, what were the other ones? There were some younger ones too.
Well, I know we watched Give Me a Break.
Yeah,
I watched that with Joey Lawrence. So,
I mean, I watched Saved by the Bell. I don't know if you were really into that at that time.
I did. I watched every episode. I had every episode on tape of Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah, that was a great cast. Just lots of fun.
Yeah.
Gosh, there were some other ones that
and I'm trying to think. Well,
some of Dining Women was good.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yes, Dining Women was a good one.
That was another fun one. I think we did a lot of kind of action-y kind of stuff too. That was not more like sitcom.
Oh, yeah,
we did more like
the A-Team
and Knight Rider.
Yeah, Knight Rider was huge. That was a big.
Those were big ones for us. So
the Greatest American Hero.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
William Catt looked exactly like my dad, and I met him at a convention, and I showed him a picture of my dad, and he was like, "Wow, I could be your uncle."
You're like, hey, we could kind of start a rumor that way. See how much fun that could be.
Yeah, I love that show. Remember Chips?
Oh yes.
Yeah, Chips was good too. Oh, we were big Dukes of Hazzards.
Oh,
too.
Me too. I love the Dukes
driving
of Hazzard.
the cars.
That was another one of my crushes. The blonde one.
Oh, John Schneider.
Yeah, definitely loved him. And I love Daisy's character too. I just thought she was great. She was good here, in my world, just a good heroine lady.
Right. Yeah. I think for me too, one that I just thought of that now it's an even older one, but was BJ and the Bear with Greg Avigan.
Oh God.
I liked that one as a kid. I don't know what it was, but I just had something about I just liked him in that show, and I think there's actually a picture of me somewhere where our dad is holding me and he's got the monkey in the other hand from that show, because I think he did some stunt work on it. But I don't know what it was. I just really liked that show as a kid. That and
it's funny.
I wanted that car so bad.
It's funny. I knew Greg Evigan from My Two Dads, right? I didn't know about BJ and the Bear until I saw the Kevin Smith movie Mallrats, and there's a joke in there about BJ and the Bear, and that was my early reference point for it. And then I found out that Universal, they weren't too proud about that show anyway, so they didn't mind to make fun of their own product in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you two watch the Z Channel growing up?
The Z Channel.
Doesn't sound familiar to me. I mean, we were mostly MTV.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Z Channel too much, but I mean, friends of ours always joked with us too and laughed at us, because even when things like cable and TV started, getting better and reception started getting better, where our parents lived was kind of up on a hillside, and so we had to have one of those big antennas on the house to even try and get reception at all, and for the most part I think we got channel 2 for where we were in Los Angeles, and we got KCET for things like Reading Rainbow and Mr. Rogers. And I mean, that was for years for us. There wasn't a whole lot of TV, and cable came very late to our area. So
right away, did we? Dad never really wanted us to have that.
Yeah, so it was a very long time, but I don't remember that channel at all.
It's funny, I've talked to a lot of people who were born and raised in LA, and they don't remember that channel, but I have talked to people who do. It was this, local channel that showed every type of movie, every type of TV show, and I found out something really, really dark. The reason why the channel only lasted 16 years was because the guy who ran it went crazy, shot his wife, and then shot himself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always wondered why it only lasted 16 years, because it was popular, and the people who do remember it, they have nothing but fond memories of it. It was like everyone's favorite channel at the time. And there's a documentary out about it, and Quentin Tarantino was interviewed for it and stuff. Yeah, I've only found out about the Z channel in the last 8 years that I've been podcasting, but like. Yeah, I always have to bring it up because it is a historical landmark.
It is. So that's interesting. It's like its own movie in itself too.
Right. Yeah.
They could make their own movie about it.
Yeah. So yeah, MTV. I mean, I'm sure you two remember the day it was launched.
I don't know that we remember the day it was launched because, like I said, we still didn't have cable at home when a lot of our friends had cable. It was a big to-do to have cable wires back then ran up the hillside to go to the home. So since it was close to, our home was kind of in an area that was harder to get to, it was a lot longer. So I don't think we really remember when it first came out, but I mean, we do remember once we got cable and we started watching it, that it was like all we watched.
Oh, yeah, that was on as soon as we got home from school, and even while doing homework, and that MTV was playing. Yeah.
Yeah, Nina Blackwood. I got to interview her a few years ago, and it was like one of the biggest thrills of my life. Because she's one of the early MTV VJs. If you remember, she had a very exuberant voice with a New Jersey accent. Now she sounds like she smoked 15 cigarettes. I mean, it's very, very raspy now.
Right.
And I asked her about, Julia Louis-Dreyfus impersonating her on Saturday Night Live. And she said, I never used to say hot like she does. And I was like, well, Jimmy Cagney never said you dirty rat, so you're in good company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, it was a great conversation, and she told me that Madonna's belly button didn't cause a lot of controversy in that Lucky Star video.
That's funny.
Yeah. Did you two watch a lot of children's programming like Zoom and Schoolhouse Rock and stuff like that?
I think we watched Schoolhouse Rock quite a bit. We used to do like the Wonderful World of Disney night
I love that.
On Sunday nights when they would show like the old Disney movies or the old Donald Duck cartoons. So we would do that. But I think for
Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, Reading Rainbow,
Yep.
Mr. Rogers. We were big fans of He-Man and She-Ra.
Me too. I had
we watched a little.
I had the action figures. I had the Viewmasters. I had comic books of He-Man. Yeah, I loved them.
Yep. Thundercats.
Yes, Thundercats. I'm trying to think what else.
G.I. Joe.
Yes. We watched that some, but
yeah, not as much as like Transformers, you know, things like that. I'd say that was mainly our.
I love the Hasbro stuff, like Gem and Rainbow Bright, My Little Pony, Strawberry Shortcake.
Yeah, yeah, those were big for me. Big collection of My Little Pony, Care Bears.
Yeah. I was more Strawberry Shortcake, and then there was some little fluffy dog back in the day that I think even had a cartoon for a little while. I think her name was like Poochie or something. She had like pink ears or something.
Coochie.
But we were huge Gem and the Holograms fans. Yeah. We loved that show.
I met the girl who did the voice of Gem at a convention, and she had her hair exactly like Gem, all pink. And we took a picture. It was really cute. She was going to come on the podcast at one point. It didn't happen, sadly. But God, I loved Gem. I loved the songs. It must be really hard doing a show about a band and having to come up with new songs every week.
Exactly. Yeah.
She I just saw her on her social media. I guess she's still kind of releasing music in that too. It's kind of cool. I think I would probably geek out if I probably met her. I would.
I was gonna say if I could see her with the pink hair and that, like Gem and the Holograms, I would be right there. I would be like, she and probably the voice of Optimus Prime would be the two that I would probably lose my mind if I got to meet in person.
Oh yeah, Frank Welker was the voice of Optimus Prime, and he was also the voice of Soundwave on Transformers, and that voice is the same voice he does for Dr. Claw and Inspector Gadget.
Mm-hmm. Another great cartoon. I used to watch them all the time. Inspector Gadget, that was good.
Yeah, I was never satisfied with the live action movies. You know, they had Matthew Broderick in one and French Stewart in the other. I was just like, oh my god. I mean, they got great people who know comedy well, but I don't know. There's something that's just not right about the script. You know.
Yeah, I agree. They never did anything for me either. Just kind of very just not. I guess it didn't live up to the cartoon. I guess is what it really boils down to.
Do either of you remember Pinwheel?
Oh yeah, I remember Pinwheel.
Yes, whenever I bring that show up to people, I have to explain it to them. You know, it was like a Canadian ripoff of Electric Company, and I remember that theme song, Pinwheel, Pinwheel, spinning around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the big thing for me is remembering that theme song. I don't know. I think that the '80s and I think they had some catchy theme songs. I don't think they make anything as good anymore, but. There were catchy show tunes. I loved Pound Puppies when that one was out.
Yep.
Again, another theme song that just kind of catches you,
Pound Puppies was on ABC. I used to watch it right after The Real Ghostbusters. I loved The Real Ghostbusters. I thought ABC didn't put a whole lot of effort into their cartoons on Saturday mornings like CBS and NBC did. Like on NBC, I'd see do you remember Kid Video?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We do remember that one, yep.
I'd watch Kid Video and the Smurfs and Alvin and the Chipmunks. I prefer that version of Alvin and the Chipmunks rather than the one in the late 50s, because it was more current pop culture and they were doing current rock songs and stuff. I love that Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, that movie they did where they fly in the
air balloon
around the
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that soundtrack was on repeat for me.
Yeah, me too. I know all the songs. The girls are rock and rolling. Yep. Yep. Diamond Dolls. I know all the songs.
Yep.
Oh, those are great.
That was a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
We'll play those for my 8-year-old son and he's like, why can't I watch this now? And it's like, they just don't make cartoons the way they used to, buddy, with these songs that are just so catchy.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Did you ever watch Solid Gold?
Solid Gold. I don't remember that one. I remember hearing about it, and I remember it being on. I just don't know if we ever really watched it.
Yeah, I don't think we were big ones for that.
Yeah.
So
I saw that way before American Bandstand. It was a much more hipper American Bandstand in that, they'd have everybody in pop and R&B on there. And they filmed it over at Paramount too. I've talked to a couple dancers that were on there and stuff.
That's cool. That's a neat thing. Kids Incorporated was a big one for us.
Oh, I've talked to a couple of them too. Ryan Lambert, who was one of the kids in the Monster Squad. He was on Kids Incorporated, and he was on with Fergie, and he's still close with Fergie to this day.
That's cool. That's a cool relationship right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always fun when we thought back about, wow, we used to watch her before she was Fergie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So getting into music, do you remember the first album that was either given to you or you bought with your own money?
Oh, goodness.
Yes, I do. It was Michael Jackson's Bad, I believe.
I got
and
that.
It was on cassette, I think.
Yeah, I got the
think it was
cassette.
on
I got the cassette for Christmas. The year it came out, I was 4 at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, I used to be a big. I love Shirley Temple, so I had a lot of her stuff. But I just, and then our dad was a big fan of Annette Funicello, so I'll never
Yes.
forget the Annette Funicello albums hanging,
Pineapple Princess.
Oh yeah, like, in our house.
I'm,
Big time.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, I just remember going to the music stores with you all the time, and we'd, obviously buy the singles and this whatever the singles were.
I think
time.
one of my first cassettes was Bon Jovi.
oh,
I was like a huge 80s hair band junkie, like Bon Jovi, Poison, Whitesnake, all of those guys. So I think that was my first one that I remember buying was Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
my brother's best friend had Bon Jovi "Slippery When Wet" on cassette, and he brought it over. Like I stole it from him, but then he took it back eventually. Because I love that album. It's still one of the great hair metal albums of the '80s. Um, yeah, I mean, I was an MTV kid, so I had Phil Collins' "No Jacket Required" and Poison's "Look What the Cat Dragged In." I bought those on CD with my birthday money when I was 8, and I was into like Wilson Phillips and New Kids on the Block, and all the boys called me a girl in school, and I. Yeah, and I was also probably the only boy to admit to loving Madonna back in the day. And those videos that she'd made on MTV were so cinematic. And I knew all of them by the time I was 7. I just could not get enough of them. Every time there was a marathon of Madonna videos, I'd watch it. And I've gone back recently and watched those videos and listened to the songs. God, just every song was never the same. She was always reinventing herself. She was always doing different things in her videos. I mean, she is an innovator.
Yeah, she definitely. I mean, those are probably the most vivid ones that I remember seeing on MTV. But I mean, I thought Paula Abdul was great with her creativity in music videos. I remember those standing out a lot. But even like the Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson. Gosh, I even remember like Debbie Gibson's at certain points. I remember her Electric Youth. That kind of stuff. But MTV was big in our house. We had that on most of the time. I mean, we Walk Like the Egyptian was a big one that we danced around in the front living room.
Yes, we loved the Bangles, and we used to joke with friends of ours because we had a couple of high school girls or college girls, I guess at the time, that used to babysit us when our parents would go out, and they looked like 2 of the singers from the Bangles. And one of them, even back in the 80s, her boyfriend at the time had a car that when you would drive it, if the door was open a bit, it would say the door was ajar. So we used to joke that her boyfriend had a kit car, but we loved the Bangles. So we thought it was so cool that 2 of our babysitters looked like singers from the Bangles.
Yeah.
The Bangles are my favorite band. I remember seeing Walk Like an Egyptian when it first aired, and Eternal Flame and In Your Room. I remember, my favorite was Walking Down Your Street. That video is hilarious. It's very Monkees-esque in its humor. I got to interview Susanna Hoff's mom back in 22. It was almost 1 year to the day of my car crash in 2015, and I remember when I was recovering in the hospital, the Bengals were on tour, and I was just thinking, God, I wish I could go. It was just like a nice little twist of fate there.
Wow.
That had to be a fun interview, though, for you to be able to interview her.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
It was overall. It was kind of sad. Her mother has dementia, and there was a lot of stuff I had to edit, unfortunately. But it was a great experience overall. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like my parents had a big old box of vinyl records when I was a kid. They had everything from the Beach Boys to the Stones to the Beatles, Carole King's Tapestry, Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, Rod Stewart albums. My parents both loved Rod Stewart crazily and stuff. There's nothing like that stinky, musky smell of vinyl. It's intoxicating.
Yeah, there's our parents had quite a bit of vinyl that we would rummage through in that, but we had that old 80s stereo tower that had everything from the record player to the tape cassette to finally introducing the CDs. So I mean, that staple that was in the household. And but Dad had a lot of country. Dad, that's kind of where I think I get my love of country is, Dad's got a lot of that older, what I call kind of that twangy country, Conway Twitty, that type of feel. And
George Jones.
I feel like our household was definitely, I think, a well-rounded musical.
Yeah, because then Mom had like all of the 70s stuff, like the Bee Gees and the Beatles, and then she even had the older Beatles stuff because that's kind of who she listened to.
But then Mom loved the Madonna that was coming out too. So I mean, Mom kind of just kept growing with music after that.
A big one back in the day was Kool and the Gang. I remember she introduced us to Kool and the Gang, and that was a big one. I think we had a record of that at the house too. So, and then they also introduced a lot of like the older 50s and 60s to us. We used to listen to a lot of that too. So, influences of Elvis and all sorts of things.
I was a big Elvis person. So, I had a lot of that too.
We usually give her a hard time because when she was growing up, I guess she had the chance to go see the Beatles or she had the chance to go see Elvis. And she chose to go to a Beatles concert instead of an Elvis concert. And so we give her a hard time about that to this day.
My mom indoctrinated me into being an Elvis fan. She had the movies, the books, the gold plates, everything Elvis. I bought her an ornament for Christmas with him and the hound dog, on TV. It was really cute. And we had one where he's like dressed as Santa Claus and he's got this long old list and stuff. And every time you press the button, you hear, "Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus."
Yep.
Yeah.
His music had some great like hooks and melodies in it. So.
Oh God, it was fantastic music, and we saw the movie in the theater, and we just loved it. It was, I thought they were a little too sweet on the Colonel, and Tom Hanks did do a good job, but just like I was unsatisfied with how the Colonel was handled,
Yeah, that relationship. I thought they kind of did a little too sweet as well. I was expecting more drama, and there wasn't a lot there. But I don't know if maybe their focus was more of Elvis and seeing how hard he worked to really portray Elvis. But yeah, I thought kind of the same thing about that.
Yeah. Do you two remember your first concerts?
Yes. Michael Jackson Bad all the way up on the lawn.
Oh,
and it
so
was
jealous.
The coolest thing. It was the coolest thing ever in my life, even though he was like little tiny person on stage. But oh man, the theatrics of that concert and just the energy from that concert, that was life changing for me. It was so cool. It was such a neat thing.
I thought it was great to see his female guitarist get out there with like her blonde mohawk and everything, and she could just play and was so entertaining during the concert. But yes, we actually got to go to that one together. Our mom took us to that one, so that was the first one I remember being at.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, what was it after that?
I'll be honest with you, I like that memory's lasted so long in my brain that I don't know. Like, I mean, we've been to concerts, but like, I don't know if there's been an artist that has stood out like that.
I think the only show I saw that, I mean, it stood out, but it stood out in a different way, was I got to see the Eagles perform live together.
Oh.
And they were really good in concert too. But I mean, nothing compares to like the theatrics and the dance and the background dancers and the music and the way
I saw
Michael Jackson's show.
I saw Keith Urban, but again, so different from like the, King of Pop. I mean, that was, I remember the theatrics on that stage and the dancing, and that was just unreal. It was really cool.
I saw Joe Walsh. I saw Joe Walsh right after Glenn Frey died, and he did a tribute to him. He started playing "Take It to the Limit," which Glenn Frey didn't sing on that song, but he thought that Glenn Frey did some of his best playing on that song, so he did "Take It to the Limit," and then he did his Eagles songs, "Life in the Fast Lane" and "In the City" and stuff like that. Yeah. But my first huge concert was Alice Cooper. That guy is a showman. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet that was a cool one.
It was during the Brutal Planet tour in 2000, and he did like at least one song from every album he's ever recorded, except for those ones that he doesn't remember because he blacked out. But for the most part, yeah, it was a great show. I saw Kool and the Gang open for Van Halen.
Oh, that's fun.
That's an odd combination. Yeah. Kool and the Gang and Van Halen. That's
I thought the same thing too. But the funny thing is, David Lee Roth, he loves R&B. So like, I had heard that they tried to get like Triumph to reform and open for them, and they tried to get some other hard rock bands, but literally none of them wanted to go out on tour with them because they knew there'd be drama. So Kool and the Gang said yes, and they weren't advertised. I'm like getting close to the venue, like, hey, is that Kool and the Gang I hear? And it's like, yeah, it is.
That's cool. Yeah. I did get to see Rush play.
Me too.
I got to see Rush. Neil Peart was still, with them at that time, and I do remember thinking that was pretty amazing. The drummer, obviously Neil Peart was an amazing drummer, but seeing that was a cool experience as well. Yeah.
I saw them on their farewell tour in 2015. I had just gotten out of the hospital. I was frail as fuck. And I sat in that seat for almost 4 hours because they did like 35 songs, and they had all these intermissions, and they had these funny things happening on the screens. Like you'd see Jerry Stiller wearing a Heidi wig, or Eugene Levy introduced them for the encore on the screens pre-taped. And it was the best show I ever saw. There was like spinning laundry cycles on the stage.
Yes.
It was great. Do either of you remember your first makeout songs?
No.
Trying to think. I'm like stumped. I think in high school, one of the ones that I guess they would use at parties for makeouts that I can think of was, I think it was called like Hands to Heaven or something like that.
Okay.
It was kind of like new wave sort of kind of-y. It was like, I don't know, you put your hands to heaven and pray. I don't know. Okay. That we'll be back together someday. I don't know. That was the only line I remember from it. I don't know if that's the name of the song, but
the only thing I can maybe say is that Bryan Adams song that was from, I think it was Robin Hood. It was.
Oh, that's what the kids were using around that time. Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, mine was Janet Jackson's "Love Will Never Do Without You."
Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a great song, sexy, steamy song. I love it. So, have you two been doing a lot of cons lately?
So we were in Texas last December for an event called Malapalooza, with a couple of other people, including Douglas Tate, who did Freddy versus Jason, and that we were in Texas with him. And I think that's pretty much the last one we've done. We did Mad Monster, which we had a great time. We got to go to Mad Monster in Denver, and Mad Monster was an awesome show. Their group, everybody that ran it there, they were wonderful. But those are the only two we've really done. We took a day and went over to Horror Hound in Cincinnati just to see everybody and check out the show and but we haven't had any conventions coming up yet. No.
Yeah, I was curious. Like, have you two been starstruck meeting people that you grew up watching? Like people that we've talked about earlier and stuff.
We've never been. I mean, like I'll be honest. I mean, at most of the conventions we've gone to, I haven't really. I mean, we've seen Cassandra. I mean, Cassandra. Dad did the movie with her, and I mean, we've seen Cassandra. So I mean, we're kind of used to that. I mean, other than like, I don't know if we were to see like Anne Margaret or like Molly Ringwald, like I think then I'd probably be starstruck. I mean, it was cool to see. I forget his name. The voice of the gargoyle guy.
Is it Keith David's? Is that the one who did
Goliath?
I met Keith David once,
but he was really cool to kind of see. But again, not necessarily. I don't think I'd say we were starstruck necessarily. But like I don't know, if we were to see like Anne Margaret or Molly Ringwald, I might be like, oh, okay, that's like. That's a big deal.
I have a friend who just met Anne Margaret somewhere. She's going to be coming on soon. We're going to talk about it.
That's fun.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because she's now, I think, doing the circuit now, isn't she? I think she's out and she's actually at some of these I think they're called fan cons, I think, or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we were to see somebody like that, I think then I'd probably be speechless. I'd probably, making a fool of myself trying to talk to them. But yeah.
I think one that I did see one time, I didn't per se meet him, but I was at a stunt awards with Dad, and Gerard Butler was there, and he was in the area with us, and he had just finished 300 and just done Phantom of the Opera and that. So I think, he was one that kind of I was in awe of and a little starstruck by when we were there.
Wow. Yeah, for me, the big one was Lynn Stewart, who played Missy Vaughn on Pee-wee's Playhouse. She died last month. And I'm so devastated because we became good friends. She came on the podcast twice. We were going to do a third one, but it never happened, sadly. She lost, a lot of good friends in 1 year, in the last year that she was alive. Pee-wee had died, and Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley was her best friend, and John Paragon, who played Zombie. They all died like within a year apart of each other, and it was just devastating when she passed away. Everybody loved her. Nobody has anything bad to say about Lynn Stewart. She was just the sweetest lady.
Yeah, that had to be rough for her, definitely.
Yeah, but like meeting her, like my mom, she just was like, "Oh my God, I have never seen you so starstruck before." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, every Saturday morning, when I was a kid, Pee-wee's Playhouse, and she was there, Missy Vaughn, It's like, it was a mass appealing show for the kids." Yeah, I had Leslie Hoffman on last month to nerd out with me, and she told me she loves seeing you two at conventions.
Oh, she's so sweet. Yeah. So we had a blast when we got to see her last year. I guess that was probably the last big one we did was Whorehound last year when they did the 40th for Nightmare on Elm Street. It seemed a lot of places didn't really do a whole lot of stuff for the 40th anniversary for Elm Street like they've been doing with a lot of the others, but it was nice to see her, and then we got to chat with Amanda and Ronnie, and that was fun seeing all of them because we didn't see any of them when we were filming when we were younger, but they're all a really great group. So I think we're actually going to be back in Texas in the middle of July with Leslie. So at an event in Texas called the Craven Pop-Up. Wonderful. So that'll be our next thing. So we're looking forward to seeing her again, but she was always fun. She's very sweet.
Mm-hmm. And she's got a brand new website, and she's doing a lot more self-promotion than usual, and I'm so proud of her. I've had her on here 4 times. When she won her lawsuit, with the guild and everything, she came on here and talked about it. She's a survivor, that woman.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them now we've found it seems to be with so many conventions popping up and so many different horror conventions popping up and like Coy was saying, fan expo conventions popping up, and the Comic-Cons are starting to, blend their genres too, where they're bringing in more horror and things like that. I think a lot of people are now doing a little bit more self-promoting and things like that, and trying to get out there, because it's such a large industry, but such a small industry, if that makes sense. So, it's a bit tough. So, I mean, we're still blown away. So many people tell us when they see us, they're like, we didn't even know you were an option. We didn't even know you guys were doing these things. So, and we were just letting them know, if you've got an event, and you request us, we would definitely be there. So, but yeah.
I know. I hope I get to meet you too. And real quick, we gotta play by Secret Silly game. This is a series of silly slumber party questions. It's no win or lose. It's just pure fun. And how the game works is, since I'm playing it with two, I ask the question, both of you answer it, and then one of you can ask me the same question back, and I'll answer it. And then feel free to comment on the answers because they might be funny.
Okay.
Okay, girls, are you both ticklish?
Yes. What about you?
I am also ticklish, yes. If you tickle me without warning, I might hit you in the groin.
Okay. Good to know.
Are your belly buttons innies or outies?
Innies.
Yeah, mine's an innie too.
Yeah. How about you?
I am also an innie. What color are your toenails painted?
Purple.
Nice.
Mine are pink.
Love it.
How about
do you paint your toenails?
I started painting my toenails when I was 13, and right now they are blue-green for Easter.
Okay.
All right.
Holiday color. Yeah, I've started doing, since the year began, I started doing holiday colors. Like I had gold and silver for New Year's in January. I had pink and black for Valentine's, and I had green for last month for St. Patty's Day. Who knows what May will be? We'll see. What would you say are your best personality traits?
I said sarcasm, and then
I struggled to think of what my best personality trait was. And I said stubborn, and she said, that's your best personality trait? And I was like, well, on some days, maybe.
Love it. Mine is, I have empathy and I have no filter.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No filters are useful sometimes. Yes.
Oh, yes. You could see it in the memes I post. What are your guilty pleasures?
Oh, gosh.
Chocolate and music.
Mine is, I have to say, mine's line dancing. Like, I love my line dancing. It is my guilty pleasure, just to get out there and do some line dancing.
Nice.
What about you?
I love eating pizza and watching a raunchy sex comedy movie.
Okay.
And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Like a trash dump, I think.
I think mine's broccoli. Like mine would probably be, I don't like the smell of broccoli. Yeah. But I mean, I like eating. I can eat it, but it's the smell of broccoli sometimes just
Okay.
Most people don't
What
like...
What about you?
Yeah, most people don't like the smell of broccoli. I love the taste, so I eat broccoli all the time. For me, it's either farts or feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The classics.
The classics, yes.
Coy and Adri, thanks so much for coming back on and nerding out with me today. This was a lot of fun.
No, thank you.
Yes, thank you for reaching out to us. We always have fun with you.
Yeah, lots of good memories for sure.
Thanks, guys. And also, too, also thanks for sticking around with the technical issues. Some people get impatient, but, you two were just absolutely extraordinary.
Oh, we appreciate it. Hey, we understand how that technical stuff goes.
Yeah,
so.
Being that generation that had to grow up through learning through it, I think we all have patience in that area. Maybe that this generation just has that patience, I guess. But no, thank you for having us on.
My pleasure. You have a great day and stay safe.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Coye and Adri Cecere. Aren't they sweethearts? Oh my god, I just love them both. Oh my god, they are just totally awesome. And we had a couple technical difficulties, but thank God for editing. Otherwise you would have found out. And it was great talking to them about pop culture today. And I'm so blessed. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes!